This video is going to be covering the runs out of Singleback Y trips, which is a formation you can audible to from trips tight end. It's the same personnel. I don't personally make the audible, but I felt like it's something that was useful, so I wanted to provide it and allow you to have it at your disposal to use if you wanted to. So definitely an effective formation. I'm just going to come on Singleback Y trips. I don't want to show the audible over and over just to waste your time. So I'll show it to you once here from Y trips, and then we can go from there. The two runs that I like are H-back plunge and H-back dive. Now, I would typically only run these against weaker formations, like a big dime 146, like a big dime 236 will, or a dollar, stuff like that. If they're into like a nickel 335, something like that, I'll probably just stick with read option for the runs. These runs aren't going to be quite as effective against a nickel anyways, so you might as well just stick with the read option. The dive would be good, but the plunge probably not so much because it's a longer developing run and you have a chance to lose yards. So I definitely would probably stick to it with big dime 146, but it's up to you, your call. I'll let you all be the judge on that. But I'm going to audible here to trips tight end just to show you what it's going to look like when you audible from trips tight end. That's why I'm on the short side trips, because when you're in wide side trips tight end like this, which is how we run every single play, and then you audible in to the Singleback Y trips. So I'll go back to it here. You audible back in the Singleback Y trips. The trips actually is going to go to the short side. So that's why I'm running it this way. That's how it's going to look for you when you audible to it in the game. Now we're starting to cover 3 here, and essentially this plunge is going to be really good against cover 3. Now sometimes you can't tell if it's cover 3 or cover 2. Like right now I wouldn't be able to tell if I didn't know I was in practice mode. The plunge isn't going to be very good against cover 2, so you're kind of risking it here when you go to the plunge if you know it's a cover 3, and I'll show you that if you don't know it's a cover 3, I mean. So what you're going to do is playmaker the run to the left using the right stick, and then you're just going to motion this player over and hike it right around the linebacker. And right there you see that the receiver actually missed the block, but we got a big gain regardless. You just playmaker this run to the left with the right stick, just motion it to the left. That was non-press. I'll show you non-press one more time from the cover 3, and then we'll show pressed. We'll start to get into cover 2 and different coverages like that. That time he got the block, sealed the edge, and we have a chance for a big gain. So that's why you run plunge. It actually has a big chance at a big gain against cover 3. But now press, and then we'll go over cover 2. Press is going to pretty much look the same way. You just motion this player over, hike it right around the linebacker spot. Now you can cut this up a little bit sometimes, but usually it's going to be the outside run. But again, you see press, non-press. I'll show you press one more time just because we didn't cut outside there, but definitely an effective run against cover 3. Against cover 2, for some reason, this wide receiver never gets that block outside to seal that edge for you, and I'm not sure why. I never got it to work. They always just whiffed on it. So that's cover 3. I'll go over to cover 2 now. But you'll see, for the most part, this person's going to miss this block, and you're going to either have to cut it up or you're going to pretty much get no gain. So it's not like it's a risk like you're going to lose 10 yards. And that's actually the first time I've seen that block be made. So I'll just run this a couple more times for you. Usually they're going to whiff on that block, and the player's going to come right in and like hit you right at the line of scrimmage, which isn't the worst thing in the world. It's not like you're losing 5 yards, but it's not going to be a potential long run like you want it to be. And that's what I usually see. The player usually misses the block. So that's what I usually see. You're not going to lose yards on that, but that's what it looks like versus Tampa 2. Now I'll show you cover 1 hole. So if they come out and cover 1 robber, they come on and cover 1 robber initially. That's what it's going to look like with the linebackers out. And the slot corner is actually going to be lined up over the tight end, so it's not going to be any player over there. When that's the case, you don't have to motion over the receiver, because if you motion the receiver, the corner is just going to follow with them. So you're bringing a defender with it. So there's really no point of doing so. You might as well just stay over there, let the receiver stay over there, and let the defender stay over there. You don't have to worry about keeping a block or not. If you just run plunge to the left, you can seal that edge with that outside corner, and you have a chance at a big gain. We'll press now out of cover 1 robber. That was just regular cover 1 robber. So we'll press. And this is all plunge, just an all playmaker left here. Do it one more time. That time the linebacker's got a much better push, but not really losing yards there. And dive's going to be the more safe one. You still can break long runs with dive, but it's going to be like the safe one. You're not going to ever really lose yards. You're not going to really be met at the line of scrimmage. You usually gain at least a few. So we'll run this one more time. Another good block shot from the linebackers. But you guys can see if the linebackers are blocked, it's going to be a good run. And that's why I feel like it's effective to audible down to. But if you want a safe run, dive's it. This is the last time I'll run plunge, and then we'll go to dive. So there's another successful one when they held the blocks. Now we'll go to dive against cover 3, cover 2, and cover 1 robber. So we have dive again. We're going to flip this one as well. I do the same thing. If it's just cover 3 and they're not lined up over the tight end, the corner's not lined up over the tight end, I motion this over, and then dive. Not going to have a potential like 100-yard run usually, like the plunge could be. But for the most part, you're going to pick up good gains consistently. And this is actually plunge. I did not mean to, I meant to audible into dive and I didn't. But again, just another successful plunge. I'll go to dive now again. Run that a couple more times for you. I know this is kind of monotonous, just running the same runs over and over, but I wanted you all to see that they work. So I can't just run it once and be like, hey, look, this is the best run ever. I wanted you to show you consistently that they work. Again, that's just another big game for dive. Now I'll go to cover 2 against it. Press and no press doesn't really make a difference. I'll show you once press just so you can see it, but it doesn't really make too much of a difference. Just because it's not really the motion got across. It doesn't matter where the corners are at. It's where the linebackers are and if they're going to shed or not. So motion this player over. This is press cover 2. Or excuse me, press cover 3. Again, as long as they hold their blocks, you'll have big gains ahead. So now we'll go to Tampa 2 and then we'll cover 1 robber out of this. Again, I'm just going to show it against Big Dime 146, but it's kind of a it's a scheme that you can use against other weak defenses as well. So this is press cover 2, and then I'll do non-pressed. Linebacker actually backed out there, but doesn't really make too much of a difference. That gap's going to be there regardless. They're going to have to make a play. Obviously, there's no user out there right now, so the user can't really make a play because there's not one, but they're not going to be able to do much because there's a hat on a hat pretty much every time here. This is non-press cover 2. As long as your players hold their blocks, you'll be good to go and just pick the right gap and you'll pick up good yards. Now we'll just cover 1 robber here, and then we'll call this one for the single back wide trips. One again, you don't need to do the motion when they're cover 1 robber because they're lined up over all your players. So motioning over just brings another extra defender over there that could block shed. If you motion the player over, I'll show the motion over once from cover 1 robber. So if you motion over and they follow, they might not block shed, but it gives them an opportunity to, and there's no reason to do that. So if they follow over like this, they can make a play. You see there, like the corner doesn't even get blocked and they make a tackle. Whereas if that corner's not there at all, you can break out a big run. So that's all the runs for it. We'll do cover 1 robber one more time. I hope you guys will implement this if you like to audible down. I should be audibling down more, but I just personally don't, just because I don't know. I just like to stay in trips tight end a lot, but I'll probably start doing this a lot more as more blitzes come out and defenses become more difficult to deal with. So that's the single back wide trips runs.